Capricorn, Capricorn. This was hidden from you for a reason. Capricorn, there's something that's been hidden from you. Not by chance. Not by coincidence. For a very specific reason. Because if you knew the truth, the real truth about who you are, about what you carry, about the power you possess, everything would change. And there are forces, both internal and external, that don't want you to change. They want to keep you exactly where you are, working, carrying loads, surviving, but never really living. Why would a Capricorn awaken? Discover what was hidden from them. This Capricorn becomes unstoppable. And the world is afraid of that. His own mind is afraid of that. Because the truth will destroy everything you've built on lies. It will crumble all the beliefs that have kept you imprisoned. It will expose what you've spent your whole life trying not to see. And are you ready for that? Because in this video, I'm going to reveal 5 secrets that were hidden from you, intentionally. 5 truths about Capricorn that, once known, cannot be ignored. 5 keys that will lock or unlock the rest of your life. The choice will be yours. But first, subscribe to this channel. Leave a like. Turn on notifications. Because what you are about to discover will shake the foundations of your reality. And you'll want to remember this moment. Let's begin. Secret number 1. You are paying for a debt that was never yours. Capricorn, for as long as you can remember, you felt this way. A burden. Not a physical weight. Not something you can see or touch. But a weight existential, a responsibility so profound, so ancient, that it seems to have been born with you. It's as if, the moment you arrived in this world, someone placed a mountain on your shoulders and said, "This is yours now. Carry it." And you carried it, without questioning, without complaining, because that's what Capricorn does, right? But here's the secret that's been kept from you. This mountain was never yours to carry. You were taught, programmed, conditioned, from childhood to believe that Yoha must something to the world, that you need to prove yourself, that you need to be useful, that your value is tied to your productivity. And where did this come from? Perhaps it was their parents, who placed impossible expectations on their shoulders. Perhaps it's a society that glorifies hustle and bustle and punishes rest. Perhaps from traumatic experiences where you learned that love is conditional, that you are only loved when you are strong, when you are successful, when you don't need help. But here is the truth that was hidden. You weren't born owing anything to anyone. You weren't born with the obligation to be perfect. You weren't born to sacrifice your happiness, your health, your peace for the approval of others. But someone or something planted that belief so deeply within you that it now seems like absolute truth. And you spend your whole life paying off a debt that it never existed. Working to exhaustion to prove their worth. Sacrificing your dreams to fulfill expectations that aren't even your own. Carrying burdens that belong to other people. And blaming yourself when you can't bear it all alone. But Capricorn, what if I told you that you can let go? You could put that mountain on the ground and simply to walk. But if I let go, who will carry it? That's not your problem. But if I stop, they'll abandon me. So they never truly loved you. But if I'm not useful, who am I? And that's the question that keeps you trapped. Because you've built your entire identity around being the strong one, the responsible one, the one who always delivers. And now you're afraid to discover who you are without the mountain. But here's the secret. You are worth so much more than what you carry within you. You are more than your achievements, more than your usefulness, more than your strength. You are a human being worthy of love, rest, and peace, simply for existing. And this truth was hidden from you, because if you knew, you would stop sacrificing yourself. You would begin to live. And the system that depends on your sacrifice would collapse. So they kept you in the dark. But now you know. And the question is, what are you going to do with this truth? Secret number 2, you weren't abandoned. You were conditioned to isolate yourself. Capricorn, how many times have you heard that? You're so closed off. You don't let anyone in. You build walls. And you probably agree. Maybe you're even a little proud of it. Yes, I am reserved. Yes, I have standards. Yes, I prefer to be alone than in bad company. But here's what was hidden from you. His solitude is not a choice. It's a defense mechanism. At some point, probably in childhood, you learned a devastating lesson. People hurt. Connection is dangerous. Vulnerability leads to abandonment. Perhaps you opened up and were ridiculed. Perhaps you trusted someone and were betrayed. Perhaps you loved and were abandoned. And at that moment, his brain made a cold, logical calculation. If I don't connect, I can't be hurt. If I don't need anyone, no one can abandon me. If I'm alone, I'm safe. And so the isolated Capricorn was born, not out of preference, for survival. You built walls not because you like them, but because one day they saved you. And now those same walls that protected you, they are imprisoning you. Because here is the truth. Loneliness is not peace. It's anesthesia. It's a way of avoiding the pain of rejection, but also of avoiding the joy of connection. It's a way of controlling suffering, but also of eliminating the possibility of true love. It's a prison that you call a fortress. And the saddest part? You've convinced yourself that you prefer it this way. Someone who is naturally solitary. Someone who doesn't need anyone. Someone who is self-sufficient. But Capricorn, self-sufficiency is not a virtue when it's disguised trauma. And here is the secret that was kept from you. You're not antisocial. You're scared. Fear of opening up and being rejected. Fear of showing vulnerability and being seen as weak. Fear of loving and not being loved in return. Fear of investing in someone and discovering that you weren't their priority. So you keep everyone at a distance. You test. You analyze. You expect people to prove they deserve your trust. But here's the problem. No one can prove that. Because trust isn't logic, that it's a leap of faith. And you're so used to calculating risks that you've forgotten how to jump. And while you wait for guarantees that will never come, life goes by. People walk by. Opportunities for genuine connection pass by. And you stay there, alone in your fortress, looking out the window, wondering why nobody else stays. The answer is cruel. Because you won't let me. You say you want company, but you keep the door locked. You say you want love, but you wear armor 24/7. You say you want to be seen, but you hide behind edited versions of yourself. And what about the truth that was hidden? You deserve real connection. You deserve to be vulnerable. You deserve love without having to prove yourself. But first, you need to open the door. Not completely, not all at once, but a crack, a little light, a moment of courage. Because, Capricorn, the biggest risk isn't getting hurt again. It's like dying alone, surrounded by walls you built to protect yourself from a pain that's already gone. Secret number 3, your ambition is not greatness. It's escape. Capricorn is the sign of ambition, of success, of the climb, of the relentless conquest. And the world applauds you for it. You are so determined, so focused, so successful. And you smile. You give thanks. You keep climbing. But here's the secret that's been kept from you. You're not moving toward something. You're running away from something. And that something has a name. Inadequacy. Deep down, buried beneath layers of achievements, certificates, trophies, and recognition, there is a voice. A small but relentless voice whispers, "You are not enough." And no matter how much you achieve, that voice never falls silent. You get a promotion. The voice says, "But it wasn't the position you really wanted." You've reached a goal. The voice says, "But look how many more people they reached." You build an empire. The voice says, "But in the end, you're still alone." And you run faster, work longer hours, set higher goals. Because you believe, deeply, viscerally, that if you get enough, it will finally be enough. But here is the truth that was hidden. No external achievement will heal an internal wound. You can have everything, success, money, recognition, power, and still feel empty. Because emptiness isn't in your career. It's in your soul. And the soul is not healed with trophies. It is healed with acceptance. With a profound understanding that you are worthy, not because of what you do, but because of who you do. And But someone, your parents, society, your experiences, taught you the opposite. It taught you that love is conditional, that acceptance needs to be earned, that you need to deservito exist. And since then, you've been living in an endless race trying to prove your worth. But Capricorn, who are you proving it to? For parents who were never satisfied? For a society that will always want more? To the version of yourself that has internalized rejection as truth? You're spending your whole life trying to impress ghosts. And while you're chasing after external validation, you're ignoring the only validation that matters, your own. And here's the secret. The day you stop running and simply accept yourself, everything changes. Not because you give up on ambition, but because ambition ceases to be and becomes choice. You stop building to prove and start building because of wants. You stop working out of fear and start working because love. And ironically, you become more successful. Because success driven by fear is exhausting. But what about success driven by purpose? This one is unstoppable. Before we move on to the next secrets, I need to know, have you ever felt that? That feeling of running from something instead of running toward something? Have you ever realized that your ambition might just be a pretty suit of armor hiding an ugly fear? Comment here, I've felt that before. Because this truth is heavy, and perhaps you need to know that you're not carrying it alone. Now let's move on to secret number 4. Secret number 4, you control nothing. And that terrifies you. Capricorn needs control. Control over your life, your environment, your emotions, your future. You plan, you organize, you calculate, you predict. And when things go according to plan, you breathe a sigh of relief. But when they don't go out, when something unexpected happens, when someone acts unpredictably, when life throws you a curveball you didn't see coming, you panic. Not a visible panic, not outwardly, but internally, it's chaos. And here is the secret that was kept from you. Their need for control isn't strength. It's trauma. At some point in your life, something got out of your control. Perhaps your family fell apart and you couldn't stop it. Perhaps someone you loved left you without warning. Perhaps you've experienced loss, betrayal, abandonment, and felt completely helpless. And at that moment, you made a promise. I'll never feel like this again. I'll never let anything get out of my control again. And ever since then, you've been trying to control it all. Your work, your relationships, your emotions. You don't act spontaneously. You don't allow yourself to be vulnerable. You don't trust the flow of life. Because trusting means let go of the controller. And letting go of control means risking that feeling of powerlessness again. And you'd rather die than feel that again. But here's the cruel truth. You never had control. And you never will. You can plan everything perfectly. And life will change your plans. You can work tirelessly and still fail. You can love someone deeply and they can leave. You don't control the universe. You barely control yourself. And that's not a weakness. It's the human condition. But you are taught that admitting this is giving up. It's failing. It's being weak. So you keep fighting for control that doesn't exist. And in the process, you lose the ability to live. Because living requires surrender. It requires accepting that you don't know what comes next. It requires trusting that even when things fall apart, you will find a way. It requires letting go of the illusion of security and embracing the reality of uncertainty. And Capricorn, that terrifies you. Because you've built your entire identity around being the one who has everything under control. What if you let go? Who are you without control? Here's the secret. You are free. Free to live without the constant fear that everything will fall apart. Free to trust people without needing to micromanage their every move. Free to surrender to the moment without obsessively planning the next one. Free to be human. But this freedom comes at a price. You need to admit that you're not in control. And you never were. And that's the scariest truth of all. Secret number 5. You love everyone except yourself. This is the most painful truth. The one you'll want to deny most fiercely. But Capricorn, you need to listen. You are brutal to yourself. The things you say to yourself, the thoughts you have about yourself, are so cruel, so devastating, that you would never say them to another person. When you make a mistake, you destroy yourself. When you don't reach a goal, you punish yourself. When you show weakness, you hate yourself. And here's the secret that was kept hidden. No one taught you that you are worthy of unconditional love, especially from yourself. You learned that love needs to be earned, that you need to be perfect to be accepted, that if you fail, if you are less than exceptional, you don't deserve compassion. So you treat yourself like a slave. You push yourself beyond your limits. You ignore your body when it's screaming for rest. You suppress your emotions when they beg to be felt. You deny your needs because other people need them more. And you call that strength. But it's not strength. It's self-destruction disguised as discipline. And here is the truth. You would give the world to the people you love, but you don't even give yourself a moment of peace. You are kind to strangers, patient with friends, understanding with family. But with yourself, you're a tyrant. And this was hidden from you because if you truly understood how inhumane you are to yourself, you would have to change. You would have to start treating yourself with the same kindness that you treat others. You would have to forgive their flaws. You would have to accept your humanity. You would have to acknowledge that you also deserve the love that you give so freely. But that's terrifying, because if you love yourself, you'll have to stop sacrificing yourself. You'll have to set boundaries. You'll have to say no. You will have to prioritize your needs. And you are taught that this is selfishness. But here's the truth. Self-love is not selfishness. It's survival. You can't give what you don't have. You cannot fully love others if you are empty. You can't be strong for the world if you're destroying yourself internally. And Capricorn, it's time to stop being your own worst enemy and start being your own best friend. It's time to talk to yourself the same way you would talk to someone you love. It's time to forgive yourself for the mistakes you would never forgive in anyone else. It's time to acknowledge that you're human, and humans make mistakes. And that's okay, because the ultimate secret, the most important one of all, is this. You have always been worthy of love, from the very beginning, unconditionally, and nobody told you that. So I'm saying it now. So these are the secrets that have been hidden from you, Capricorn. That you are paying a debt that never existed. That their solitude is protection, not preference. That his ambition is escapism, not greatness. That your control is an illusion, not security. That you love everyone, except yourself. And all these secrets were hidden for a reason. Because if you knew the truth, you would be free. Free from the obligation to be perfect. Free from the need to control everything. Free from the fear of being vulnerable. Free yourself from the belief that you need to earn love. Free to simply be. And what about a free Capricorn? This is the most powerful of them all, because it is no longer driven by fear, by trauma, by obligation. It is powered by choice. And choice, Capricorn, is where the real power lies. So the question is, now that you know what was hidden, what are you going to do with this truth? Are you going to continue living as if you don't know? Or will you have the courage to dismantle everything that has been built on lies and to rebuild upon the truth? The choice was always yours. But now you really know that. If you're a Capricorn, breathe. I know these secrets are heavy. I know they hurt. But the truth always hurts before it sets you free. And you're not alone on this journey. Thousands of people are discovering these same truths. And it's okay to feel all of this. It's okay to fall apart in order to rebuild yourself better. Now tell me, which of these secrets hit you the hardest? Which truth did you most need to hear? Comment below. Vent. Share. Because perhaps your story is exactly what someone else needs to read to feel less alone. And if this video changed something about you, shares with another Capricorn, subscribe to the channel. Leave a like, because here we see beyond the masks. Here we honor the truth. You are the mountain Capricorn. But even mountains deserve rest. And you've always deserved love. From the very beginning.